Alright guys, welcome back. This week is all about llamas here at the elementary. And for the 3rd and 4th grade project this week, we are doing part 1 of llama weaving. So a couple weeks ago, we practiced weaving when we did our heart flag project. And this week, we are going to put those new weaving skills to work to make this adorable llama. So the supplies look like they might be stuff that you don't have at home, but if you look closely, you might. And it might not be too hard to find. But if you can't find this stuff, like always, I'm happy to put together a packet for you that you can just pick up in the school office and take home so that you can do this project. I have extras cut of everything. So the cardboard is actually just an old sparkling water box. Or old cereal boxes work, cracker boxes, any of that like thin, flexible cardboard that you guys have at home, you can recycle and turn into these cute little llamas. Okay, so you are going to get a template that looks like this, and all you have to do is print it off and then cut it out. So you just have to cut on the gray line. I know it says cut slits here, but don't cut those slits yet. Wait for that step. Okay, so you're just cutting it out on the gray line. If you don't have a printer at home, I would just draw a llama and cut it out. It's a fairly simple shape, so hopefully just if you pause this video, you can just look at the shape and draw it on a piece of paper or on a piece of cardboard, and that will work too, no problem. Okay, so cut out your llama. Then it's gonna look like this. Notice I don't have the slits cut yet. Cut carefully around the tail. The ears are always tricky, so take your time, do your best work. Then you are going to take your piece of cardboard and you're gonna glue that template onto your piece of cardboard. You want your slits side up so that you can see those. Then you are just going to cut on those lines one more time. So you're going to cut out your llama one more time. Then it will look like this. Okay, so you've got cardboard one side, your llama template on the other. Now is when you are going to want to cut those slits. So don't cut them any further than about the lines that are already there. So I know it's kind of hard to see, but hopefully you guys get the idea at home. You're just cutting these little slits. Then the next supply that you are going to need is a piece of yarn. I've been collecting yarn for years from Love Inc. and Goodwill. You can buy like huge bags of it for like $1/4 to get a variety of different colors. Or maybe you have a grandma or somebody that like knits and they've got some extra scraps of yarn. You don't need a whole ball of yarn, you just need little scraps to do this project. So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your string and you're gonna take the short end, tuck it through the top little slit like that, and then you're gonna take the bottom and put it through the bottom slit, just in that first row. Then flip it over. You're gonna tie the short one to the long one. Now, the thing I told my 3rd and 4th graders today, if you don't know how to tie a knot yet, you need to know how for this project. 3rd and 4th grade is a great time to learn how to tie a knot if you do not know how to do that yet. So I'm going to take my 2 strings and I'm going to make an X. Then I'm going to take the short end and I'm going to put it under the X through the hole. So it looks like it has a little twist. Then I pull tight. I'm going to hold it with my finger and I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm going to make the X. My dad always said, loop the bunny ear through and then pull tight so you have a knot. Okay? Don't cut this short end. I know you're going to be super tempted, but don't do it. You're going to need it later. So keep that there. Then flip it back over. Take your long end, and this is where you're going to use the rest of those slits. So you're just going to go through the bottom, up through the top, down through the bottom, up through the top. And what we're doing here is we're making our loom that we're going to weave on. So just like our heart was our loom, last time. This time the llama is our loom. So that is what we are going to weave on. So if you did it right, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stripes on your llama. Okay? If they're crooked, then you might have done the knot on the front and side of the back, if they kind of have an angle. Or if you don't have 5, you might have missed cutting one of your slits, or maybe you have an extra one. Okay, so then flip it over on the back, and then like I said, you need that little short end. It comes in useful. Now what I like to do is I like to just take my long end and tie it to my short end. So remember, we're tying again. Lots of tying. Hopefully you have a grown-up at home that can help you tie if you don't know how yet. Like I said, now's a good time to learn. Really, with this, all you need to learn how to do is tie knots. So knots are a good place to start. Then you can go ahead and trim those loose ends. Just be careful not to trim any important things. Okay, so that's the back. It's okay if it's not pretty, right? You've got that angle and everything. That's all good. Flip it over. This is your front. And you need another length of yarn. Just another little scrap that you found, hopefully from, you know, Grandma's knitting basket or something. Then you're going to take a length of this yarn, put it through the first string like this. Okay, so tuck it in, and here's our knot tying again to tie a knot. But this time you only have to do it once and it'll hold. Okay, so tie it, pull it tight, and then you can trim that little loose end because we don't want to get it mixed up with our long end. All right, then I have this handy dandy needle that I'm going to use. If you have a big plastic needle at home, go for it. The students here at school do not. They're just using their fingers. But I thought in the video it might be a little easier to see what I'm doing if you can see it with the needle. Okay, so this first one right here is our tie. So we're going to make sure that that's scooted all the way up to the top, because we're making the blanket for our llama. That's what the weaving part is. It's going to be a woven blanket that's going to sit on our llama. So we want to start at the top. So the first one we kind of skip, and then I like to go under, then over, then under, and over. And then you've got to pull it tight. This was a step some of my students forgot today. They had like all this extra over here, and they never pulled it tight. So you have to pull it tight as you go. There you go, and I like to scooch it all the way up to the top. Now the end is where it gets tricky, because you want to be able to go back the other way. So you have to loop under the first one, and then see how this one up here is under? That's telling me that this one's supposed to be over, because our pattern has to go across, but it also has to go down. So you've got under, over, across, and under, over, up and down, just like we did with our hearts, if we did it correctly. Okay, pull it tight, and then scooch those strings up to the top, just like that. Then this is under, so I'm going to go over it. See how this one's over? So I'm going to go under, over, those two important words again, right? Under, over. And honestly, this is about as far as my students got this week. Next week, we're going to pick up with a little more weaving. We're going to finish weaving. But if you really got the hang of this, then I'm going to show you next week how to change colors. So you'll be able to change colors next week. And then we're also going to add all of the fun details. If you don't have very many colors at home, maybe you only found like one ball of yarn, that's totally fine. You can do this whole project with one ball of yarn. Or maybe when you were looking, you found tons of like little pieces of yarn, and that's okay too. You can piece those all together to do your project as well. So next week I'm going to show you guys how to draw a llama face. We're going to add fur, we're going to add pom-poms, and we're going to finish weaving. So this is your first step, basically getting your loom set up and put together.